We'll move on in noch eine Kide. Zwei Unionen, was ist Negaya in Hallchos Chala, auch wichtige Hallachos. The halacha is oise isa a manas lachalik. That means a person makes a dough which has the shir challah, 5 pound dough, but it is aldas lachalik. He wants to divide it. When does he want to divide it? He wants to divide it when it's still dough. And he wants to divide it for other people. That means we all make a big dough, and we divide it to make chalas. Yeah, we make chalas, we make bilkelach. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about people who make a big dough, and they give half a dough, a daughter, a piece of dough to a neighbor, whatever. It's too big, so therefore they are putting it in, they're dividing it. I'm not a chalik. And every piece of dough, after you divide it, is going to be pachas mekashir. It's going to be less than the shir challah itself. Steht in Shulchan Aruch, Simon Shichov Wolf Steve Beis, a clear halacha, asi poter mechallah. Although you made a big dough, and we know as chiv challah is b'shas gilgul, that means when you make the dough, not necessarily was afterwards, as we're going to see, like about andere halachas, that b'shas gilgul, then is the gilgul means when it becomes dough, or not necessarily becomes dough, we start mixing it, then it's chiv challah. So now it's one big dough, you have a shir challah. But since the kavanah is that you want to divide it when it's still dough to separate people, it is kalo oimed lizik zurik duma. Same is also kalo oimed lachalek kechulik duma. And it is that every piece is less, since every piece is less than the shir challah. So therefore, it's potem and a challah. And das is a clear halacha. The Shech noch passt so. The sod is basically in Piske Chalaf and the Rashba and the Tashbas. Of them is Kashir halacha.
What's the difference before or after?
We get a minute. We get a minute to that. Look at Chila. We have to remember you're not. It's not allowed to make a dough. I'm not a chalik because you want to avoid giving challah. Now, if you're making the dough because you want to give for your daughter a piece, or you can't do with such a big dough, and therefore, or she doesn't have a mixer, or the neighbor comes in, she doesn't have the mixer broke, and you're making the big dough, and you're giving you her dough, that she should finish it up. That's something else. I want to pattern myself of challah. But when a person does make, in order he wants to divide it because he wants to be a potter, steht klar in halacha as that is also tzitin. But again, this is only when it is botek. But the what?
It's also to do it like that, but
it's also to do, but it's still potter. Yes, yeah. But a person makes a dough, and he wants to be a machalik it after he cooked it, after he baked it. A mom which makes a big dough, and after it's baked, she tiles, for all the children challah. Like the minig is in the Olam Hungary, that the mother, the first year or 2 or 3 or maybe even 5, they supply the fish and the challahs, even when they start eating themselves, because they have to baglai their children even after the chasana. So in such a case, they make a big dough and they give it for the children after it's baked. Such a case is chayim challah. Why? Because when it came Isa, hot is this. So nicht only lachalik when it's dough, it is only lachalik when it is going to be baked, and since the chiv challah is when there is dough, therefore it is mechiv challah. Now he asks why. The kid is azoi. Kol oimet.
You gave it when it was dough?
What?
You gave it to your daughter when it was dough?
There are some people who do such a thing. Yeah, they divide it. You know when it happens a lot when they get to eat pashut practically in schools or challah bakes. It is like that. The shlucha makes a big dough and gives it for everyone. They should make their challahs, and there's such a thing. And you have it also in bakeries. But bakeries is different halachas. I don't want to go in. What?
Or
what?
What does it mean giving?
Giving it. She picks it up and it's hers. Yeah. Once she makes the kinyan, it's hers. Yeah. When there is dough, and you're going to divide it, it's so therefore you don't have a shir challah now, because since it's going to be divided, in smaller pieces, it is as if you divided already. So therefore, it is part of a challah. But since when you're only going to divide it after it's baked, and the chiv challah is already b'shas is given dough, and the b'shas is dough gets nish al chalik, therefore it is nishpotet, and then it's mechiv challah. Even though he wants to take off the challah, after when it's baked. Usually we take off challah when it's baked. But there over here, one lady decided I want to take off challah after when it's baked, which it's permitted. Like a trille steigt man ze machen right when it's dough. But I can put them, it's a nishkan to do it once it's dough. So she wants to take off challah only once it's baked. And when it's baked already, you want it to be machalik. So maybe I would say such a case is oimed kol oimed lechalik duma it's part me challah. The answer is no. Since when you made the dough, when it is mechiv challah, it is not oimed to be mechalik. Therefore, it is mechiv challah. And so again, once you oimed lechalik when it's dough, then it is part challah. If it's oimed lechalik after when it's baked already, then it's mechiv challah. And even though if you want to take off challah after when it's later, this is the chayes udam. I like to see chayes udam and binas udam put together. Even though he wants to take it afterwards, sof kasof is mechiv challah. Now another thing which is very important, when we say ha'oiv ha'isa, a person makes a dough, amanas lachalek, only when it's only after afiyah. That doesn't mean that I make a dough and I have to cook it, I have to bake it one big dough. I make a 5-pound challah, I want to make one big challah. Even though I want to divide it and make separate pieces of challahs, I want to make separate challahs for myself. That is also, it's also haistas ha'oisa isa shloya manas lachalik. Although I am dividing it, but that's dividing it a technical zach in order to make challahs, and I'm keeping it for myself. Manas lachalik means lachalik la'achayrim. That's the skumas for rough poiskim. Again, it's not, the Mechatzitchik says no. The Mechatzitchik wants to say, since some achroikas, there are some poiskim which want to say that only when it's baked in one, and if you are going to divide it yourself in-house, to make chalas, more chalas, making bilkelach, therefore, in such a case, it also goes into the category, and therefore you should not give challah. Since there are such a poiskim, we should take challah without a bracha, but lamas askumas achroinim, askumas from the Sharat Tzedek, the Mechashai, the Chazanish, all the Gdoli achroinim holden that when we make a dough, and I'm not lachalik afterwards, but nish b'shas masa when it's dough. Chotchik, although b'shas masa, I'm going to divide it. I want to bake it. I don't have an oven which everything could go in. I want to make separate challahs. But since the kavona is nish as of lucid, b'mayle is mechiv challah. In mechiv challah fill mit babrucha. The skumas achronim is afilu kemeruch machla barucha.
That's the market for Chosn Challah, like
No, the market for Chosn Challah fits very in the picture. Yeah, but since when is the Chosn Challah made? The Challah takes the yeah. By the way, there was a minig. The poskim bring it down. There was a minig that the day of the Challah goes into the Chippa. They used to make Challah, and she should be mafresh the first time. Challah, she used to make a shechiyanu. The poskim Maganta Shmi is now she's going in. Yeah. Now, so again, let's make it clear. I want to get mistakes. Means he makes a isa, and he wants to divide it when there is dough to separate people, and each piece will not have a shir challah. That is considered amnas chalik and spot mechallah. If you make a dough and you want to be mechalik only when it's going to be baked, even though if you divide it because you want to make it separate challahs, but you want to give only for your children challahs after it's baked, you could make challah, and that's the meaning is rule. That's how you do it, and you make challah. But there's one but. Sometimes women will make a big dough, and they are going to divide it and freeze. They're going to bake a piece this week, and they freezing it when it's dough. They want to have fresh challah every week, every Friday. You know, they don't want to have a challah which is rebaked from the freezer. So they freeze it when it's dough. Now comes Erev Shabbos, they take it out, and they bake it. So now it's oisi isa shloim rasachalek. It's only everything goes for me, but I'm not baking it in the same time. Same time does not mean it has to be in the oven the same time. Same time means right away. Today I'm making right after that. Also consider I'm making right away. In such a case, if it's such a case, you should only make a fresh challah only below bracha. In such a case, again, a case where she makes a dough and she divides it in the freezer, and every week she takes out even for herself. But still, it is separate times. In such a case, there are poskim which say in such a case it is not mechiv challah. So therefore, Halter Shlomo Zalman Shmir Shabbos Kelchusa in Chalas Leichem, the famous cipher of challah. Rabbi Yankel Bloy in his sefer, Rav Osner. All of the poskim say in such a case, you should not Rav Osner. In such a case, you shouldn't make a bracha. Since you didn't bake at the same time, then you shouldn't make a bracha. The interesting thing is, Rav Osner wants to say, even in such a case, he can make a bracha. Why? There is a bir agru which says one thing. What is it called? One thing. L'chalik l'chayrim or l'chalik l'atmai. If it's l'chalik l'chayrim, then it's potter, even if you bake it right away. If it's l'chalik l'atmai, is it chayav, even if it's baked a lot of times. The Gru holds that I don't care. Whenever the chalik l'atmai means l'atmai or l'chayrim. The other poskim blend in l'chayrim and l'chayrim also when it was baked. If it's baked right away or not baked right away. So the Avoza halds, the Balzu Agru is held in such a case, there's a chilik. So therefore, we should make in such a case, Afila when it's not in the same week, every week you take out a piece and it has a shir challah, then it is you should make a bracha. But again, as kumas from the andere achroim, with Chasitzchag, with the B'Yankel with the Gdoli achroim, and since we're playing around with the bracha, and the bracha nishmakav, so this is how you need to do. A person which basically bakes big dough, puts it in the freezer, and every time takes out a piece, she wants to take out, or she take challah, she should only take challah without a bracha, nish with a bracha. Yeah?
Why shouldn't she make a big piece for Shabbos?
Okay, that's the best thing, you know, because you have to understand another thing. If a ois is a master chalik, just a minute. Ois is a master chalik, yeah, and one of the pieces is going to have a shir challah, then everything is mechiv challah. Ois is a master chalik means I have a big shir challah, and I'm dividing it into 4 pieces, and every piece I'm going to divide to separate people, and none of them have shir challah. But what is if I make a big challah, and I divide it and I give for my children a piece of dough, for my neighbor a piece of dough, but I leave for myself still a part which has the shir. It's a big dough, still the shir. In such a case, with alles bechiv challah. And that's why we're going to get a minute later like challah baked. Exactly. Yeah.
How did 2 years or 20 years ago they make a dough to take later on?
Again. No.
Yeah.
Sure. You put it down in the kellers. You know. You ever saw how they used to put away food? Go to George Washington's house in not in Washington, right next to Washington. What is it? Virginia. Right. What? Mount Vernon. You go there, over there, they show you how he lived and how the whole meal. It's very interesting to be there. I was there, Machatas Neirim. And over there, in the bottom, they show you where they kept the food. And you go in, it's mamash cold. It's nothing. It's a keller. You know, you talk with my father, and he always tells me, in keller, you know what a keller? Keller means a basement, the cellar. And in keller, you used to keep the things. It used to be cold, especially winter. So, das ist nicht, again, technical Sachen. Guys, tech the Matisse company.
Would the shear one consider to say the overnight from the morning to afternoon?
What?
They considering it
Same day. Same zecher.
So you make a thing in the morning, you break in the morning, and then you make another thing in the
A little bit later, same day. This is how zecher.
But if you do one by night and one next morning, well, it's late at night and early morning, it's the same time.
You know, the my bruch starts with the yom. It starts from the shkia bis the mortamal shkia. It's kind of zecher. You know, it could be even the day if you make one 8 o'clock in the morning and the next it will be summer 6 o'clock in the afternoon, which is not bezecher. Can this auch considered not bezecher? The line is as in other words that you don't have enough a big baker oven and you bake it. So that's not cool down oven. So nicht dus the wort. The wort is die backt jetzt and you bake it once in the baking mode. You know, it's in the baking mode. Now you bake. The pshat is dus heißt zecher meint auch het bewassach. Pshat is doesn't have one big oven like the old commercial ovens. Yeah, but I go you bake. The wort nicht. You verstaat sich gemeint. What is when you are baking now? Is the pshat is as die bis jetzt in the matzah von baking. Is the selbe dough. So therefore, as it's time you're baking in the afternoon.
Even morning, afternoon, it's all.
Definitely, yeah. I have gesehen da groim hab sag gewisse the gedank is because you still. Yeah, 2 hours, 3 hours. He's going to talas twill, buys the gimel shuas, gimel adalat shuas, the rebbe the ganze briefe. So again, so we have to remember if you. Yeah. So again. So again, if you leave for yourself a dough which is still mechiv challah, we make it, then everything falls away. Again, it's as we pass commands. It's do andere chromes halt nicht so, aber again, the Tzemach got the chiva mamish on this. No similar Saraish Lamadai says it clearly that all these things about the challah is only if it doesn't, they won't stay. Once it stays one piece of dough which has challah, everything is automatically needful to that, and mechiv challah. Also passt nur also wenn sie die passt der alles legen mit der Zwieb ist gesit weiß der Gdoli an Herr so therefore in such a case is nicht kan schale but sometimes you divide the takke nicht am matz but you don't have a shir chala and it's divided everyone is every piece is less shir chala then we go into ras chala glifna fi al-akhra fi that aloch. If a person makes remember last week we spoke that when you make tziruf sal, if you make tziruf sal, has to be the same mean, has to be aymakpidim leis arav. You remember the whole shir? One of the things was that if you have your makpid, it shouldn't touch or it shouldn't get mixed together. Then what? Why is dough? Why is dough? So now, shtayt Rav Osner, if a person makes a dough from one mean, one big dough, a big challah dough, but they want to divide it in smaller pieces, and everything is going to be a different thing which you are makbet, it shouldn't connect. That means you want to make one challah, and once you want to make a ugat shmarim, or whatever you want to divide it in separate doughs, which when you want that it shouldn't connect, it shouldn't mix. Zukt Rav Osner, in such a case also you should be mafresh challah b'loy brucha, because that's also the geder of amras chalik. Amras chalik. So do paske was halt. This heißt auch amras chalik because you are chalik it to separate those which you are makbet. If you're not makbet, then it is reden. But when you are makbet, then it's considered amras chalik, and therefore in such a case you should be mafresh only without a bracha. A person which made a dough amras chalik before the baking, you decided you want to give it away for your shchina, for your children when it's still dough. But, middle of cooking, baking his chalas, made a mistake, and they baked it up. A mistake. They baked it before giving it. They wanted to give this chalas for the door. They should bake it at home. And my mistake was, they baked it themselves. In such a case, is it chayiv b'chala bevruch. Although it's kavanus to yigveim lasa chalik b'shal mesido, but since b'poel has nish b'chalik mesido, you baked it, and now you're giving it after when it's baked. In such a case, shtayt l'chalas leichem, avnanayzet. Such a case, we are saying it is shlem lasa chalik. It's b'chal mesido lemafraya imeski b'chala. So now, let's apply this halacha practically. We have challah bakes. Oh, let's first go to the school. A lot of times, every school teaches the children to bake challah. That's one of the things children, kleine kinder, not only teaches them to bake challah, they want to show for Erev Shabbos, they bake challah, every child brings home a small bilkela. Yeah, no, that's popular, very, very popular. In such a case, what do you do? What do you do in order to now, if she bakes a shir challah, again, I don't know how many children there's in school. There are a school which has 40, 50 children in that class. I don't know, 40, 50, but I can put them till 30. There is b'sheifa, and she makes a big dough which has a shir challah. Yeah, and now she divides it for every child. Every child should flecht his own challah, her own challah, here, his or whatever it should be. Yeah. So now, what do you do? Stak shir challah. But lamaisa, again, if it's not shir challah, the cheshuv is seren, but it has a shir challah, and now you're dividing it. What is the how to go about it? Now, the ideal thing is that it should be baked in one house. That means the teacher, after the children are making all the challahs, the teacher should take it home and bake it at home, or at least bake it in school. If I don't know if this is push it because their office, maybe there is, or take it home to one student. It should be baked in one place, and don't put on a name tag on each challah whom it belongs. Give them whatever it comes. Give them at the back. Give for everyone a challah.
Yes.
You see after what?
The kids are very marked. They know which challah. They know because
okay, but again, that's the ideal thing. This should be baked like in one oven. That's lekiva. The Indian asizon mechuven of dem do achronen lakan, and others say it's not nicht gefährlich. So weißt du, wo muss ich efsher. But akaponim it should be baked in one oven. Since it's baked in one oven, so it's manasachalik la'chayrem. In such a case, is chayiv b'chala mebrucha.
Most times it's not done like that.
How is it done?
Send it as a dough. That's what I remember.
Send it as a dough.
Here I got both. Past Shabbos, I had half like this and half like
So again, if the teacher leaves for herself shir challah, then it's not a problem. But if she doesn't. But if she doesn't, in such a case, if she sends it home at home, is a masachalik. She put her even his hands a shir.
What do I do with that small one?
What do you mean? You eat it. It's put a mechallah. Yeah, put a mechallah. If you have a dough which is less the shear, even less the shear, then you take challah without a bracha. Yeah, that's not challah. If you make a small dough because you want to make kishke, what I'll say in the initial push over there is bishul. But let's say you take you want to make a small challah, alecha mishnah. Make small dough, put them a challah. You can eat it.
If you have your own small dough at home, which is not shir challah, you put it together.
Then less shear comes into play. If you put it in one bag, go to the one. Okay, the fridge there. Again, this is siruf. But if you don't make it siruf, no problem. A person makes a small challah, less than shir challah, or makes a cake. What do you do with all the cakes which we bake, which has a drop of marble cake, which has a drop of flour? You don't take challah. There's
no chumrah to make more.
Now again, we have to remember, as I mentioned first shir, that the Indian of baking challah erev Shabbos, one of the reasons is zwei tam. One time is al the kovet Shabbos, as I wanted we should have fresh challahs, and that's one reason. And that, in such a case, zugen achroinim, if you take it out the dough from the freezer and you bake it erev Shabbos, that's enough. But then there's another reason, which is the ikar reason. He calls the chalusa shel olam chava. Friday made sure that the challah of the vel, which is called the Odom Rishon, should have a chiv misa. So therefore, the tikkun on it is erev Shabbos to make challah. So therefore, first of all, you bake erev Shabbos, dafke, not Thursday, not Wednesday. So I didn't dafke erev Shabbos. So I inyan erev Shabbos if you can. and that's like the Nushim Tzitkunis within a makpat, then a makpat Erev Shabbos Dafka, they wake up in the morning, because that's a din, and if it is Lukuvit Shabbos, then you could do it, Friday, Thursday night too, or whatever, Thursday, if it keeps fresh. If Rat prays that you, what? Okay, it's the Erev Shabbos, yeah, still, it's already Friday. So therefore, in such a case, if the shal is he calls the chalus shloim that in the days, is do you should make challah with a bracha. But again, if you are two people, so what you didn't do. So again, I mentioned this. One of the Ingaladowe told me that his wife always makes challah for she wants to have the mitzvah erev Shabbos make challah with a shir, but there's a small family. They have shchainim. They give it to the shchainim. Okay, it's a nice thing. Very nice thing. They give it after it's baked. Yeah, it's after it's baked. Yeah. No, after it's baked. After it's baked, exactly. Yeah. The what?
The challah you bake erev Shabbos don't have to be shafted only for Shabbos.
No, you can eat it after. Yeah. Okay. Next, let's go to the next Nikida, next halacha. Next halacha is let's go Delin.
His wife, let's say she makes sourdough, she's not doing it for herself, she's doing it for the community.
Okay. Nachtem at andere luchas. Nachtem is yom achiv to take even a master chalig le dough, while the luch is genodig. And Nachtem has in mind if he can't sell the dough as it is, he'd use it for himself. So therefore, Nachtem has other luchas. And I did not go in all the shiurim into Nachtem because that's separate shiurim and that's separate halachas and it's a lot more complicated. Also, so therefore, let's talk to or make Teresa is very popular to make business expos. Every Hasidus makes a business expo. We're going to make the business expo in Kingston. We're going to talk about all the people who have bakeries, how to go deal with the challah. It's extra. But again, Nachtem is different. Even a master challah is okay because the Nachtem has in mind he's going to keep it. What kind of dough is mechiv b'challah? Let's go. What kind of dough? Shtayt nishichanurach. Simon Shin Chuftes. That is the luchas from the. Again, I told you it's a lot of simonim chaschala. Simon Shin Chuftes. What kind of dough is b'chi b'chala? The lochi is if a person makes a dough from flour, from the 5 grains, and he uses a mashke. Again, he has to make it a dough. What does it use? He could use my pyrus. He could use water. He could use wine, milk. He could use a lot of things. A person makes a dough with shiva mashkem. There's 7 mashkem which anybody who learns Hilchos Tima V'Tahara, we all learn it because we are Baruch Hashem learning Rambam, and now with Takis they've learned Peirik Ech Leyom. We started Hilchos Tahara, Sefer Tahara. So therefore, what there are people who do both. What? Okay. So Akapunam is the Al Kaponim Al Kaponim is a lochazoi. There's 7 mashkim. It's an abbreviation of Yat Shochadam. Probably you heard about it. Yat Shochadam means Yayin Dam. It's the second liquid. Shemen means Shemazai is dafka, not cottonseed oil. Cholov, tal, that's shochat. And then the last word is dam. Dam is dvash, b, dvash not dvash temurim, and mayim. So this is the 5 mashkem, which when you make a dough, or not that necessarily make a dough, anything goes on a machel, wird es michshel lekabel tima. The halacha is a hilchos timadig halacha. Yat shuchadam, any pyre we know of food which did not get wet is nish mekabel tima. If when on top it got soaked with water or water went on it, not soaked water, or one of the other 6 mashkem, then it's mekabel tima because it's called mashkem chashuvim. So if a person makes a dough with any of this mashkem, which again, dam is not shaykh, and cholov, dachmadan because it's also to make a dough, which is cholov, I can't make a simon, but if you make a dough with that such a thing, then it is mechiyah b'challah. If you make a dough only with my pyrus, only with apple juice or orange juice, yeah, only with Eber's orange juice, then if you should take challah only without a bracha. But to make a bracha, it is only if you make a one of the 6 mashkim. Again, yad shoch adam, then it's b'chiv v'chal b'bracha. And but if you make it with other, that means if you make a dough only with eggs, or with apple juice or orange juice, is the Shulchan Aruch paskent, and there's no water in it at all. Is the according to the Shulchan Aruch, which paskens Shulchan Aruch is chayav b'challah, even other mashkim. But the Rosh, the Bartanira, disagree the Mechaber. They have spikes in it, and therefore pasken the Shach. Any dough which you make only with my payre, which is a halacha which is applicable into our days. If you make a dough only with my payre, it has no water at all whatsoever, you only take challah without a bracha. If you make it with other one of the 6 mashkim, then it is b'chiba brucha. Now, and as I net manun, the shach looks at net manun, although the mechaber looks at b'chiba b'challah, we don't know, you make a bracha, we have a rosh, batanir, with other shoyim, which say not b'chiba b'challah. But, if you made a dough with other mashkim, which the shach says, you should make without a bracha, because according to the rosh, it might be potamim. If you put in a drop of water, a kol shi water, a drop of water, then automatically is a showing mixture kabel tima, and then l'chol adayis you could make challah with a bracha. That's water. If it's the other 6 mashkim, has to be roif. That means when you have roif for the other mashkim, and only I drop my pyrus or my baitzim, then it's b'chiv challah b'bracha. A drop of oil will not make it chiv challah according to the rosh, according to the shach. But water, any drop which you have water, then is mixture kabel tima, even amashi. The what? Concentrate is water. Yeah, and water means also concentrate, juice from concentrate. Water means also Coca-Cola. If you make a dough for Coca-Cola because it has water, anything sodas, whatever has water in it, that's considered already coffee. Yeah, whatever, that's considered already as water, and then you can make a bracha. No, it could be not like that. No, it could be a paisach, exactly, whatever. It could be. What? Has 9. So,
what's the nafkamina of water or shemen? If the whole thing is that's mishul chalal tomo.
Is the Rishonim zugen schon das? The Rishonim zugen as Wasser is gebald. Wasser is der Zach, which is machsher beiker. Gott, the andere auch machsher. Aber water is the thing so. A drop of water machsher the ganze Zach. Fart, kilit is water. Other things has to be rough. Zugen the Rishonim zugen schon.
Oh, rein the Zach, they have to be low.
Nein, batima ocha. Nein, even batima. Because our halachas is a cut and paste from hilchas tima v'tahar. It is tima v'tahar. And when the poskim, whatever, a lot of halachas we speak, when the poskim talk, because we see it in tima v'tahar. So therefore, in tima v'tahar is a zoyd alucha. A mime is one thing, and vov mashkim. But in shaman itself. Right. Shaman itself. But to make that the shaman should make the my pyrus when zugich zveit bottle. When shaman itself, you're right. Cholav itself, you're right. But to say because I put in an ounce of milk, then you should say the whole thing basically is makabel tima. That's what we don't say. Only by mine, nicht by mashkim. Now again, we don't make like itchila shtayt Shulchan Aruch, klura mechaber. We don't make like itchila a dough which is only with my pyrus. We don't make such a thing. Why? Because since you make a dough only with my pyrus, so therefore it's nicht bichshne kabel tima. So when you take off challah, what happens to this challah? We cannot eat it. Why? Why can't we eat it? Because we're tamayos. We cannot burn it. Why? Situr. Tumana trima you could burn. Mitzvah to burn. Tura trima is also to burn. So what are you going to do? So Mrs. Ma'abadzan, we are not allowed to be ma'abad trima, which challah is chaylik of is trima. We are not. You have no right to be ma'abad challah B'yadayim, that's Abazam B'yadayim. So therefore, Zug the Mechaber, we don't bake B'chlal dough, which is only my pirates. But once it goes into the shallah, bring challah. Zugen aber da achroinam. So what do? You know, it's tough. And there are such a thing. As dough and batters which has no water in it. I'm telling you because I said it. I asked. There are such a thing. So what do? The answer is today's day. Is like the Machaber days that you should put in a drop of water. Put in a drop of water. But sometimes our lady will say, no, it's shtiptish with the recipe. And nowadays, most of flour are washed. It's mixed with a couple of most, and not all. There are some whole wheats, which not necessarily. And those from the whole the people who are into health or whatever. There are flours, but most of the flours which you have, there's a whole mama in Arisruel, Gillian pie. There was a whole mama, somebody wrote, if all the flours are basically washed, could what's doing about Pesach? Now again, our flour not washed in the market mishas katsira. But you could buy flour with the nor mishas tchina. It's a kosher. So I hope if it's a problem, it's not a problem. But akapunim, most of our flours are washed already. The wheat, the chita was already washed. So basically, it's not applicable. So we could make the masa chalas, which is from my pirates. Noch a Sache from Pesach Shiva, yeah, it has a shear with the bracha. Noch a Sache came to Pesach Shiva, or it's shear chuftes, and he adds on, if you put in salt which comes from water, that's also fine, based on the prima gudam, because it's also vaster. Now again, we have two kinds of salt. We have salt which is sea salt. Today's day is popular sea salt, but not all the salts come from sea. Some comes from mines. So if you have salt, you could go, make it easier. The Indian of
What kind of batter does it have to be?
What kind of batter?
I told you pour it in Mama's pour.
Oh, now we go to the next. What? No, yeah. The Pesach Shiva hängt überlegt mit Chamidas. Ja. Ja. Ob es salt was gibt. Ja. Aber es gebot auf a primogude in Hichtel Tedaim. Kol du bist die Bibel bei Maske, dann auf dem geht es darauf wieder. Okay, now he asks. I should start. Okay, we can now. Next. Start and I want to. We should. We can blame noch a minute, yeah. Because we got to move on. Okay. Now he asks a good question. What kind of batter it is? A person makes a dough and he wants a regular dough. First, before we go, what kind of dough? First, I'm going to Esh Talucha. A person makes a dough and he makes it, he wants to bake it. What make it? Bake it means no water. No, I'm sorry, no mashka. I'm taking back. Without mashka. That's called baking. A person has a dough to make it to bake, then it is mechi b'challah. Stam regular isa when a person makes is omedes le'afia, it's mechi b'challah, and mechi b'brucha. But if a person has in mind lekitchila, kavuna, I want to make a dough and I'm not going to bake it. I want to cook it. I want to cook it. Cooking, what does it mean? Imashka. I want to fry it. Donuts. I want to make it tigan b'shemen, but deep fry. That means with a lot of shemen. I'm not talking about when you have a frying pan and it has a little bit of shemen. Pashut taka has which is basically a dough is donuts, which is lakshan, noodles. You make a dough, a regular dough. But kavanose is to cook it. All the lakshan, all the noodles is basically cooked. It's going to make it. If you make a kingdom, first you cook it, then you bake it. Well, there's extra lucha, but I can put them. So all of these things, a donut, verfel, yeah, verfel. Was heißt das auch in Englisch? Okay, lakshan, kreplich, kneidlich. All these things are basically dough, which are basically made to cook. In such a case, im kavanusoi is it you made the dough to cook it, and you cooked it. Yeah, is the das from a lot of Rishonim, which is the Rash, the Rambam, the Ramban, the Rash with the Torah. It's potem and achala. Potem and achala. Because a das lavashloy, and you washed, you cooked it. Now, if you made a das lavashloy and you decided then you want to bake it, chiv b'chala, even b'brucha. Then, as God kabuna, now you change your mind. That then goes back to chiv chala. But if you have in mind to cook it, and you did it, taka. Is according to most Rishonim, poter and achala. The Rabbi Tam, what? Why not? It's a dough. Oh, Kim. So Kim the Rabbi Tam. Rabbi Tam says no. Why? He get pushed to Siba. He says when is the chiv chala? Is the chiv chala when you bake it? When you cook it? When is the chiv chala? Chiv chala is b'shas gilgul. B'shas gilgul is a dough. What are you going to do afterwards? B'shas gilgul is this given a dough, and a dough is b'chi b'chala. In the Rabbi Tam's pasten, in Toises in Psucham, the Chlamad Zayin, it's a pupletze. Toises the Rabbi Tam is a pupletze, and he said no. Since as the b'shas lishus habutzek, them is the chiv chala, and therefore I don't care what you're going to, even if you're going to cook it, chiv b'chala. Lamaasa pasten the shichanurach. The mechaber paskent, as we Rav Rishonim, is puter mi achala. As we paskent and as we paskent the Avrum and Hilchas Paisach, as we paskent the Alter Rebbe. So again, in Slabavish Chassidim, which we paskent like the Alter Rebbe in Hilchas Betzisa Pas Kiv Samaches, which also learn Kiv Samaches, yeah, where the people who learn Alter Rebbe Shechanoch Kiv Samaches, and there's a Kindras Achron over there. Alter Rebbe is a klur. Paskent the Zoyla Lucha that if you make a das. The Vashla passes over the Pashta Talucha Shechanurach over here in Chaschala. Again, the Mungavrom, the Shechanurach, the Mungavrom, the Alter Rebbe, all Paskin put him in Chiv Chala. But Lamasa, the Shach, is Ma'arav them. He wants to say, Sof Ksahom is Allah Sabani Tam. So the Shach Tam that you should take Chala without a bracha. And this is how the meaning of Grois Chalik in the Welt. Again, the Alter Rebbe Paskin, Ein Achal HaMelech Klim. We pass the Alter Rebbe by the rises. Why shouldn't we pass the Rabbanon? And we have to pass it like the Alter Rebbe. So we don't have this issue. But the Master, the Welt passed in Tiyazevi the Shach, which the Shach says since we have Rabbi Tam, and therefore we should be mafresh bli brucha. Now, Zukta by the Shechanurach, if you had in mind to cook it, but one piece you want to bake, made a dough, 90% of the you want to bake, cook. And a little bit you want to bake, then the whole challah, the whole dough is mechiv challah, and you can make it with a bracha. Since epis from the dough you're going to bake, and therefore it's not a problem. Brengt erop de tour, but the Bishas brengt erop Ram Rotmek, the tour brengt erop Ram Rotmek, and that was the meaning of Ram Rotmek. Since there's a machloikas Rishonim, Rav Rishonim say that's a potem challah if it's a das lavashle. And the Rabbi Tam says that it's a chiv chala. After Maram Rotmek, what did he do? He made a dough, and he took a piece, put it aside. This is going to bake. Now the chala dies, and then you're going to get out all the problems. Even that's a dough. As I mentioned before, once sie bleibt etwas wird gebacken, ist the ganze Dough basically nicht lauf darf kein waschen. Weil meile ist the beginnen chala dies, in bebruch. In this pasuk the Alter Rebbe, the Shechanur Hoch. Chotzik the Shechanur pasuk nicht nur bei den Tam, in der pasuk the Pute, sucht aber the Mechaber, if a piece of them you're going to bake, then it's mechiv challah. What? Together baking. Together baking is anything which is in mashka, which is deep. Anything that's cooked. In baked means you pay without mashka. Now again, without mashka doesn't mean you put in any oil, because even when you bake, you put in some oil. It means to say it's nicht to a lot of oil. It's nicht gekocht in oil. It says the oil is only, does the gator. Mashka, the believe mashka, does the gator. Now if you made a isa, amanas, lavashla, and you self nimlich poisa, again, it's the holidays in Jerusalem. Now let's go to the final step, is what kind of dough, what kind of batter. Yeah, now we're going to get to Avrom's shtickling. Zoek de mechaber, zoek de shichanurach. Whatever we spoke till now, we spoke about dough. Whatever we spoke till now, we spoke about the dough. You make a normal dough. A harte, it's called belila uva. A regular dough. But, what's doing with the batter? A batter basically is a lot of liquid and a little bit of flour. And we're talking about, as amifal, versus shir challah. Because if you don't have a shir challah, that's not a question. That means if I bake a marble cake, or in my house, or a brownie, or a honey cake, or whatever it should be, you don't have shir challah. Even not a shir challah, less pochs bli bracha. We talk about the bakeries. Bakeries who bake in big trays of cake. Big trays of cake and a lot of cake. Yeah? So now we're going to keep... bakery. But we should understand, if it happens that once we did such a big batter because we want to make for a simcha, is zocht the guy. Such a case, a batter, if you baked in a tanir, or again, b'machvas, which only a drop of oil, without mashka, is the chayiv b'chala, mit abruch. How
do you think?
After it's baked. Sidu, which want to say like you could take it before, and sidu adachraides, interesting, is machmer to take before and after. 2 times you take challah. You take it when it's still a bader, and then andere shittas, whatever. Aber akapunem, the chronim to include when you take it after it's baked. Then it's already. Then you can take off a piece. And the same will go if you took it without shir challah, and you put it in one bag, or you stir of chsal, it's auch b'chi b'challah. Because if you mark it shouldn't touch something else. But I don't know if you mark it.
No, not mark it today, because it's already a hard thing.
Okay, so if you're not marked, but you're not marked.
After you're not marked, it should touch. And you need to have a chil chal.
Nachman, the chiv chal is only after.
Hakpada not touching. It's only before it's baked.
Only, before, after. Now again, b'derech klal tur. Yeah, there's no gilgul. That's why we make challah afterwards. So b'derech klal turts again don't have shir challah, so it's not a problem. But again, if it has, but that's only that's only a thing which you're going to bake. So therefore, it has to have a tziris maf. It has to look like also like something which is a tzir of baking. What else go into our category? But again, it's not.
What about a pancake?
Dus wil ik het doen. Dezelfde zaak will be a pancake, a Belgian waffle, anything which is thicker, If you're going to have a shear, again, this is totally. If you're going to have a shear, you're mechi b'chala, because that's blila ru'aketaka, but it's made to bake. It's baked, and if you make blintzes, thin, very thin, that's not considered tziras lechem, and that's not mechi b'chala. So even if you make a big batter, and you're going to make thousands of blintzes, but since it is very thin, and that's considered, that's just my tziras mafa means has to be somehow out. Now, what's the shear? Somebody writes like this: till 3 millimeters, it is from 7 millimeters and up, between is a suffolk. It's very hard to say such things. But ich verstehe the kids that worum is. Ich habe gesehen I saw a Hagdura in Tvias Hasuda. He says like this: if you pour it and it gets cooked right away, it gets baked right away, mamash glach, that's like a blitz. If it takes a couple of, it takes a little bit longer to bake, it should be, it's a little thicker, it takes more than right away, that's already a tziras lechem. Again, it's schwer to make a gdur of the Sachen. Yeah, but a Belgian waffle is for sure a tziras lechem. It's a thick. A pancake, I would say, goes in that category. So therefore, pancake is mechiv if it has a shear, and a waffle will have a shear. But if it goes a blinza, such a case, it's mechiv. The what?
Same story of
What do you mean by it?
It's in the Puila. It's in the.
No, he's still here.
I understand that. But you
No.
make the amount of flour you have now before you cook it is what's mechuyev, not what you do afterwards. Like the same thing like with the bishul.
Yeah, but noch einmal. Sie darf Matthias, du noch hat nice darf Matthias legen. Nein, aber nein, bei Tabtanet, wenn ich mache Dough, al das levashloi, wie bald bin ich gemacht Dough, bin ich wel mechiv begallen. Bei mir darf ich geen begallen. We are talking about blile rakke. We are talking about better. A better is kan blile. Yeah, exactly. This kan blile. When you bake it, then wird jetzt is gebaked. Sie geworden am Hafer. Dann wird der Gier. Bei beide darf es dann, eins darf es dann baked, single has to be different Hafer. If it's not different Hafer, it's not putter. What do you mean?
After you make it.
You put it in one basket. You put it in one bag.
Only if you put it all together.
Only if you put it all together, exactly. If you don't have the shear, exactly. In the chrama. But if you have a bakery which puts in box in those because he wants to deliver it or whatever, but that is not looking. Now, practical, this is in a house, it's not practical, all these things. Not a waffle. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Has to be a tira. Has to be a tira. Again, why only when after the baking? The chivit is only after baking. In the chivit is also only after baking. You add the wine tam. The chivit is also after baking. Why? Because the ganze when it's a bed, it's not called lechem. You have to take challah from a lechem. When it's a bed, it's not a lechem. So therefore, zuk the cipher trim clear. The chiv challah is only after afia. Again, do. We will do even before, aber Rav Achroim nemen under the cipher trimmer. The Torah Surah with alle pasken that stafke the chayv stafke afia. This is how they do it practically. Again, like the chayv not the psachimra that you do it twice, but I can put on bederach klal in such a case you do it only after afia because then where the shem lechem, then where shem isa, and therefore then is bechiv challah. One final lucha when you make a blila raka, I want to cook it. That means you want to make cereal. HO, whatever it should be, HO or soups which has which has flour in it. In such a case, the challah dies to put in the challah. First of all, you make a big soup, you're making a chasana, you're making for kinder to shlicham, yeah? You're making, pots like it's as big as the mikveh downstairs, yeah? Big pot. And it has such a shir challah. But since it's a blila raka, since you're going to cook it, both, is the challah dice, put them in a challah, in, the shach met andere, of dem je kan